We're midgets. Feed them to me slowly.
Welcome to Movie Pain or Pleasure Podcast, the show that is a beacon in a world that is on fire and going to hell in a handbasket, whatever that means. Hi, I'm your co-host, Melanie, and you'd think this would be coming from just the depths of the seventh circle of hell of 2020, but no, we're actually recording this in May 2022, and life has moved on, the world has moved on, as they say in the Dark Tower, but it's not good. I went and bought gas the other day, and I don't buy gas too often, fortunately, but it was like over $50, and I was so depressed I went and I just laid on my bed for 2 hours. I've never paid that much for gas before. I drive a Honda Accord. I'm not supposed to pay that much for gas.
I mean, what about in the Bush era? It's got pretty high then, too.
Not that high.
Yeah.
People were like, oh my god, it's over $2.
It got up to $4.
No, not
A
in
little
Texas.
over. Yes, it did. During Bush's era, I remember because I was 12 and I was getting driven back and forth to Taekwondo, and my dad noticed it.
He's complaining about the gas prices. Okay.
Anyway.
So I am drinking a Pear Secco from Aldi, hashtag Aldi finds. It's a bubbly dry cider. So I can get a little sauced for this episode. Hi, AJ.
I have green tea.
Aren't you high and mighty?
Yep.
All right.
Special.
So
There's a point to this
the
video.
point of this episode is that one of the things that can make you feel better when the world is just completely falling apart and everything is awful is movies and TV. And that's why we started this podcast. I started this podcast in the depths of a very deep depression, and watching movies and talking about them with AJ was one of the things that got me through it. So we made a list of movies. Some we've watched recently, some we watched before during other trying times, and they've made us feel better, and we want to share that with you. So starting
Just
out,
randomness, pretty much.
just randomness, but there's a point.
Things that can make you feel better.
Everything-
Not like, we have a summer chill series, which we'll
That'll
get
come
around to soon, but a little bit different parameters. Doesn't have to be summer, just whenever the world's burning.
Yeah, which is all the time, and probably will be in the future because no one wants to do anything about climate change. Anyway, so starting with number one is a twofer. It's Paddington 1 and 2.
Fucking balls.
Hear me out. Hear me out. AJ, I've
I
been
am
taught
not
you
complaining.
say why these movies are so amazing.
That... Oh, we didn't even do the research. I meant to look up who wrote these because they deserve credit.
They're incredible. They're very well written, very well acted. They plant little seeds that come back later. There is not one wasted plot point or one wasted joke.
It's not often I specifically point out writing, but like every single thing. There's a stupid throwaway joke about Paddington not knowing how to eat a caramel apple, and somehow that comes back into the climax
later
of the film. That's so dumb and awesome. It's amazing. These movies are way too good. Like, way better than they should be.
Right. And I remember Paddington Bear, the cartoon, from when I was a child in the 80s. And I just kind of... This seems to happen a lot. I avoid the movie because I think, oh, it's a dumb kid's movie. I hate CGI. It'll be stupid. And then we finally watched it on HBO, and it was so freaking charming.
Thank God it was British.
Yes.
Because that added to it. Just the
dryness of the
humor.
humor.
Like them walking through the train station and Paddington is there asking people for help, and the dad just being like, kids, don't look over there, he's probably selling something, and they keep walking.
It's not, oh my god, there's a talking bear. It's, oh, just stay away, you don't know where he's been.
And the second one's even better, which usually for not animated, a family movie sequel, usually not the case.
Oh yeah, like
but
Beethoven's Last Stand or whatever.
Better, like I cried hard at the end of the second one.
He did.
Which, for personal reasons, not just because I don't cry at movies. Like, I didn't cry during Grave of the Fireflies. And
You didn't?
No,
I completely, you saw me, I was losing my absolute shit.
Everyone I've ever seen was like, oh my god, I cried at the end of the Grave of the Fireflies.
How could you
don't
not?
have a soul if you don't have the...
Oh my god, when you... Oh, fuck.
But Paddington... man.
Creed 2 and Paddington, man.
Yeah, I got some weird ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, watch these fucking movies. They're hilarious. They're kind of adorable. They're just amazing.
Very
Like,
well written. There's a little too much slapstick for me in the first one.
There is a lot.
There's a lot. It's Paddington figuring things, and I think, okay, this is kind of a family kids movie, so kids think that stuff
At
is
least
funny.
it makes sense, and it's not like lowest common denominator. Like, it's slapstick, but it was like
There's a point
him
to it.
him screwing with the tape and how a bear wouldn't understand how to use tape, things like that.
Yeah.
So
They are delightful and charming, and they're very, very funny. It's definitely adults could enjoy it. I would love to watch them again.
yeah, we'll get around to seeing those again.
Number 2 is what we watched recently, Bill and Ted Face the Music, which I think was from 2021 or 2020. Either one. It was funnier and better than it deserved to be.
Way better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be like dumb.
I'm not a huge Bill and Ted guy. Like, I liked the first one fine, but I usually don't fall for movies where the leads are like, we're really dumb, and that's why I hate so many Will Ferrell movies. Although there's a Will Ferrell movie on this list. But yeah, it was way better than it should have been.
But you like Anchorman.
I know, but I don't know why.
So that's one that, like, I must be... Maybe this is the difference
It's a
between the
man
genders. Like,
thing.
I don't think The Hangover is funny. And Anchorman has its moments, but my God, it drags. And I can't deal with it. It's, like, so dumb.
It
I can't...
does.
And he thinks it's funny.
It does drag. It's hilarious, and I don't know
It's
why.
funny, but, oh, it's so dumb. Okay, so that's why it's not on this list. But Bill
Anyway.
and Ted Face the Music is... I've watched the first one over and over growing up. And then I saw the second one, and it's funny, but it's also stupid. The aliens and that... Yeah, the stuff with death is really funny, and they bring him back. So they thank God they didn't bring back the station aliens, because they were really obnoxious in the second one, but they bring back death. And what they do with the historical figures is pretty funny.
There's some pretty interesting detail stuff, like how they start to make jokes about how Bill and Ted act together towards their wives, which is actually pretty funny, and like even the way they speak is just so weird.
Yeah, and I love their daughters. They each had a daughter, and they talked like this, and they would address them as dads.
Yeah.
Whoa, it was so stupid, but it was funny.
Like, okay, one, the girl who was Ted's daughter tried way harder, which I
Yeah.
appreciate. She was like, I am going to be, I almost said John Wick. I am going to be Keanu Reeves.
John Wick. Now we do have a little bone of contention. Keanu, keep the beard.
Keep your beard.
Keep the beard.
You look like a different human.
Yeah, I haven't seen him clean shaven in a while, and Keanu is in great shape. He looks great and everything. I hope that's all his real hair. But I hadn't seen him without a beard for so long that he looked like a person who'd had Botox.
Yeah, everyone.
And I'm not saying Keanu Reeves has had Botox. He probably hasn't. But his face just looked like a plastic baby doll or something. Just because I haven't seen him without a beard
Everyone
for so
talks
long.
about how he's ageless. He's one of those, but
Eh.
not if you shave your beard. If you keep the beard, yeah, you can be like 39 forever.
I'm not throwing any shade. I noticed a new silver streak in my hair today. So Keanu looks good. Alex Winter looks good.
But
It was cute. It was
But
funny.
what's the best part?
The best part. Oh my God. I almost forgot. There's a robot. There's a robot who's sent to kill them. And at first it's just, they play it straight like he is a robot. He talks like this. And then they start to build in his character a little bit.
And
it just starts, his eyes kind of go back and forth.
he's got built-in anxiety. And it's-
and he kind of, my name is Brian, and he talks like this.
But
I almost forgot the robot.
like they do it exactly right. It's like
Yeah.
every scene there's another little
and you're like, wait a minute.
oddity. I won't say any more about it because it's
Yes,
so good.
the robot.
You can watch it for him.
Watch it for the robot. I could watch it for the robot again. I think it's better than the second movie. You can't have the third movie without the second movie, but I
Yeah.
think one is the best. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Bill and Ted Face the Music is second best, and then Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey is
I
ranks
still
number 3.
think the whole saving the world is a little, which is perfect for this subject matter. In fact, I think this gave us the idea because it was like
Yeah.
the world is going to fall apart if they don't succeed at like bringing the world together with one perfect song.
Don't you wish it could be that simple?
I wasn't actually that impressed with the music, which is kind of sad. Like,
No, if you want to see something with music bringing everybody together and a really climactic ending, watch the end of the Adventure Time series.
yeah, that would... Fuck.
Yeah, I almost cried watching that.
Good job bringing that in.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Adventure Time. Watch that. Oh,
If you want a complete brain
If
fuck.
you want an existential crisis and also laugh at a fart joke.
Yeah, watch Adventure Time. Okay, number 3 is one we watched right after, because it didn't have power, right after the Great Snowpocalypse in Texas of 2021. That was awful. I had PTSD, like diagnosed PTSD after that. The fact that people froze to death in Houston, Texas haunts me. Now, I'm not even going to put myself in the shoes of those poor families, but that haunts me and messes with my head in a way that I don't think I'll ever get over that. Fuck ERCOT, fuck Greg Abbott, their deaths are on your hands. So anyway, we had 3-degree temperature and ice everywhere and no power, and so we were consoling ourselves watching things like Annie and Sideways and some of our favorite DVDs on my old laptop. And then when the power came back on, we noticed this movie on Amazon Prime, which is a big dumpster fire in and of itself, called Goin' South.
Oh.
From 1978.
Remember which one this was building up to.
Yep, it was. We
Going
watched
south.
this that week after the power came back on, and I was like, I need something so stupid.
And it was.
Yes, it's a movie that was directed by Jack Nicholson, and it's a comedy western, and he plays an outlaw named Henry Boone. And I say his name like that because he sounded so coked up the whole time.
He was.
That he sounded stuffed up like this.
And he acted coked up the
Yes,
whole time.
imagine that Jack Nicholson grin, and that's even the picture. The poster is him looking over his shoulder, giving his best, like, Jack from The Shining grin with a noose and a Texas flag and a little heart. So there's a law that an outlaw can be saved from hanging if a woman in town agrees to marry him. And so Mary Steenburgen is this very pious woman, and she wants to save a soul for God or whatever,
And she
so
also
she
just
agrees
wants
to marry
someone
him.
to help her.
Yeah, she needs
at
she
home.
needs a man to do some chores around the house. So Mary Steenburgen's in it. Christopher Lloyd is in
Everyone's
it.
in
Danny
it.
DeVito.
Everyone's in
I
it.
think Lee Van Cleef is in it. Maybe
Yeah.
a couple of
Is
other.
he the bad guy? Or
Probably.
the dick?
He's
I
always
don't
the
know if
bad
he's
guy.
really a bad guy.
But I'm just like, if I could go behind the scenes of this movie and just see
All right, run it again. Do it again. Just fuck it.
the
Fuck
cocaine.
it.
The cocaine must have been flowing like water. But it's very funny. It's very stupid, and it's. I think it's still on Amazon Prime. So go
Probably
watch.
because it's one of the. It makes me interested about movies that are just forgotten. They weren't bad. They just get forgotten.
Going
And
South is a hidden gem for sure, which
It's-
is kind of ironic because gold mining comes into play
Yeah.
in the movie. And it takes place in the Wild West of Texas without all the snow. So, number 4, also we found on Amazon Prime, Sonic the Hedgehog. We just watched this one recently, and
Oh god.
I avoided that for a while because I thought it was going to be stupid.
My face was numb.
From laughing?
No, like my face was numb.
Oh, is that when you had the dental work? Yeah, so
We watched this because one, we were just thinking Jim Carrey's in it. Okay. I want to see what Jim Carrey
I
does.
want to see what he does with Robotnik.
And two, I was like, I can't think. My brain is dumb from being stabbed in the gums with anesthesia, and my face is like halfway like this. Like fuck it, I'm Two-Face right now. Let's just watch Sonic.
Something stupid.
And Sonic's annoying.
He's annoying. I don't like Sonic the Hedgehog.
But Jinx. Fucking Jim Carrey
Jim
makes this
Carrey!
movie.
Oh my god. He's Dr. Robotnik, which if you play the games, he's just like this creepy looking guy with a big mustache who flies around in an egg and tries to shoot
It's
Sonic.
like if Dr. Claw had a face.
Yes, he's a government employee, so there's that level of evil. But he's an evil genius. And actually, I hate when Jim Carrey is super cartoony, except the mask, because he kind of is supposed to be. But like, I hated stuff like Ace Ventura. Love Dumb and Dumber. But Ace Ventura was just a level 2, like talking out of his ass and stuff. That's just taking it too far. So with this one, it's weird. He's subdued, but he's also insane and you like insanely
And he's a
dangerous just under the
huge,
surface.
Huge asshole.
Yes.
He's an asshole to every
He even
single
screams
person.
at a guy when the guy made his coffee.
A compliment.
Yes.
Screamed a compliment in his face.
Yes, of course I want this because I love the way you make this coffee. And there's a scene, and they play this song about being evil, and he just kind of does a little dance and plays around in his lab. And
That's really
it's so wonderful. That's the best scene in the movie.
If you could watch an evil villain who's, like, maybe done some Adderall, and he's just getting work done, he's in the groove, he's playing his music.
His ex-wife hasn't called him in a while. Yeah.
He's just doing his thing, fucking with his 3D game or whatever. He plays with a game where
He skied and he ran from a dinosaur.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's also amazing, and the ending of it is also perfect. Like,
Yes,
anyway,
I want to go back and just watch that scene. So
just him.
yeah, and
Which makes me want to see the second one.
I know. I want to see the second. I don't know if I want to pay to go see it in the theater.
True.
But okay, for a movie that's based on a freaking video game, it's actually pretty good.
And I was surprised because I don't know why these weird niche old video games and old cartoons that aren't like Disney, they keep doing this thing where they're like, okay, we'll get the property, whatever it is, Alvin and the Chipmunks or Sonic or Smurfs, and we'll stick them in the human world. And that's the movie. And I was okay with it this time because of Jim Carrey. Normally, it bombs the entire movie. And it's the same formula every fucking time. Every time.
Yeah.
If Gummy Bears ever becomes a movie...
Oh, you got an 80s kid right here. Yes, Gummy Bears needs to be a movie. Fuck yeah.
If they ever do it, they're gonna be like, ooh, the Gummy Bears fell through a hole in Fraggle Rock and ended up in San Francisco.
And the Duke tries to get, oh my god, this needs to be a thing. Make Gummy Bears into a movie.
That's such a weird...
Yes!
That's a weird petition to try to put together.
I'm going to write a strongly worded letter to Hollywood and tell them to make Gummy Bears into a movie. Speaking of animated movies, we've got 3 coming up. Now, these are completely animated. The first one is Puss in Boots with Antonio Banderas. And it is so funny. The whole time it's just a gag.
Yeah,
it's not like Shrek has its heartwarming moments, and like Shrek
threw that shit out the window.
Shrek has his existential crisis and everything, and he really reflects on things, and there's peril, and you worry about people. It's not. Puss in Boots is just.
If it is serious, it's like soap opera level serious sometimes.
It's like a telenovela.
Yeah, it's like telenovela.
Yes. So Antonio Banderas just leans into that role of Puss. It's hysterical. We watched it once before, and then we just watched it recently. So, like, the world has been on fire, so we watched a lot of these movies recently. Yeah. And we just watched Puss in Boots again, and it's one of those that adults will... It's really not a good kids movie. There are too many jokes. It's quick, and there's some sexual jokes, and there's some really adult stuff in there, which is hilarious. So...
Yeah. The only... negative I'll say is Zach Galifianakis didn't try at all. Which is weird because he's like a comedic actor, although I don't care for him much outside of The Hangover. But you'd think he would care, but no.
Well, Humpty Dumpty was kind of the straight man the whole time.
I know, but he's not right for that. Like, Zach Galifianakis is not the guy you get for that role. Because it just ends up sounding like he's just reading lines.
But Zach Galifianakis was...
Jack Black could have been a good one. He would have been interesting.
Zach Galifianakis was right, though, for Ron's Gone Wrong.
That was him?
That was him.
Shit! He was perfect for that.
Yeah, we've talked about Ron's Gone Wrong before, I think, on our January episode of just movies we enjoyed. This is a very cute movie. It's a kid's movie, kind of, but adults will like it, too. It's an animated movie about... these little robots that are basically an iPhone with legs. They're your best... I think it's called My Best Friend. Yeah. And this kid finds one that has a glitch, so he's kind of special, and he bonds with it, and then the big evil company... It's very, very funny. Lots of good jokes. And they have an Eastern European grandma, which I'm like, yes, represent my people.
And also,
So-
they have a little hate on, I guess it's supposed to be Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
And tech companies, like...
And pleasing the shareholders and all that stuff.
And doing way too much, like... Yeah.
Mining your
Anyway.
data. So, yes.
So, the third one is kind of for the same reason as Puss in Boots. It's penguins. It's just...
Yeah, you talk about that one.
It's just a fucking offshoot of another franchise, but this time there's no reason to be a legitimate movie, so they can just be a gag the entire time.
Yeah, there's a scene where they're rolling across the street, and it's so stupid and so funny. And this is one where I'm just crying because I'm laughing so hard.
And it's just like,
But
okay, you
penguin-
like Italian mobsters inside birds? We'll give you an hour and 25 minutes of that.
Okay, but the penguins were the funniest part of the Madagascar movies.
True.
So, of course, they had to make a spin-off of it.
Yeah. And, the other stuff where they have, like, the secret agency or whatever in this movie is sort of forgettable, but it's okay, because it's still all about the penguins.
Yeah, if you want to watch a movie about birds that are spies, there's one, I forget the name of it now, where Will Smith gets turned into a pigeon, and he's a spy, and it's very funny.
And he probably slapped somebody, so topical.
Maybe, but I forget the name of that movie, but he turns into a pigeon. So, okay, those are some animated movies. Now, bringing it back to Antonio Banderas, number 8 is one we just started. We actually haven't finished it yet at the time of this
We
recording.
don't need to finish it to know it's worth it.
Is Assassins with Sylvester Stallone, Antonio Banderas, and Julianne Moore from 1995.
95, okay. I couldn't remember if it was 95 or 99.
Oh, that computer and those cell phones say 95.
True.
Like he's on MS-DOS or something, typing away to somebody.
Okay, so we were working out at home, and Melanie we usually play Prof, which, if you're not a Prof fan, go check out Prof. But this time she wanted to play something else, so they're like, okay, we'll turn on a movie. And I just found, like, this looks like a dumb action movie. Action movies are good for exercise, sort of. So, Stallone and Antonio Banderas, with a baby face, and I was like, screw it, turn it on. And as soon as Antonio Banderas shows up, that's it. Like, you have to finish the movie.
I am here for this bitch.
He's such a fucking queen. Like, heavy queenness.
Yes.
He's the whole movie so far.
You know
and
what?
He keeps it
he
up.
is serving Peter Lorre vibes.
Yeah.
Well, he'd kind of
The entire time he talks to Stallone. He's like,
wow, I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
oh, why would you say that about me? He's hitting on him almost. He's like, you were the best.
Oh, yeah, I'm so glad to meet you.
It's like-
So it's like he's flirting. He's basically Puss.
he is.
He is. He's Puss as a human.
And gay.
So yes, he is Peter Lorre reincarnated in this character, and so I'm looking forward to finishing it because it can only get funnier from here.
It's just Stallone being like the sympathetic
He's a
assassin.
hitman. He's a hitman who wants out of the game.
Who is now marked by another assassin. Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's all you need. Oh, if anyone out there is a fan of Collateral, I feel like there's a decent chance Collateral was influenced by this
Yes,
film.
a taxi cab is involved in both of them.
And it's a similar-ish sort of scene.
There's scenes of hitman and stuff like that, contract killers and stuff like that. Okay, number 9 is the one Christian movie that we sincerely like, and it's called Where Hope Grows.
Yeah.
And it's about a guy who's kind of down on his luck. I think he'd had drinking problems and stuff.
He used to be a baseball player.
Yeah, which sounds like
And-
the beginning of Eastbound and Down with Danny McBride, so that would make it a very different movie.
I was thinking of that Bruce Willis movie from the 90s. I don't remember it, but
So
it existed.
it's not Danny McBride, but he kind of has an attitude like Kenny Powers, just a little bit, but like in a wholesome Christian movie. And he meets a young man with Down syndrome at the grocery store. And he just has a really good attitude about things, and he's proud that he memorizes all the codes for the produce. So his nickname is Produce. Which is kind of weird. I wish they'd just call him by his real name.
From a writer's point of view, I kind of want to be like, really, writers? Like, you had to...
Yeah.
You had to boil him down to just this one thing and make it his nickname?
Yeah. But what I like about this movie, it's a Christian movie, but it really doesn't proselytize at all. It just kind
No.
of shows him meeting a person. You can tell Produce rides his bike around with his Bible. He invites this main guy to go to church with him, but he never really proselytizes to him. There's another woman he meets who goes to that church. She doesn't. It's just kind of, I always hated
in there, but it's not like pushy.
Well, they show, they don't tell. And what I always hated, I grew up in West Texas, so you can imagine the Bible thumpers there. And I always hated when people would say, well, she's a good Christian. I'm like, oh, okay, so Christians cannot be the only good people on earth. Or your religion matters for you being a good person. But in this movie, this shows true what Christianity should be, of caring about other people, ministering to people who are kind of down on their luck and searching for something and looking for some comfort and some compassion, which we don't see a lot these days with Christians.
There's actually a really good, like, emotional tie-in with, William Zabka's in the movie.
Yes, William Zabka, Johnny Lawrence.
Which, this was before they started Cobra Kai. So I wonder if maybe...
Here,
he's
kids-
an alcoholic in this. So I'm wondering if maybe someone, like, saw, hey man, he's still acting, and he's playing an alcoholic. Perfect.
Like, you play that asshole in that Christian movie really well.
What if you were just Johnny? So, it has a really nice tie-in at the end of the film between Produce and him and his Bible. And it's not pushy. It's not like...
It's really not.
Like, you have to do this to save yourself. Or
It's not like God's not dead, where he's like, you're dead. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Like, you have to believe in Jesus before you die. No, it's not like that at all.
It's just someone doing something nice for somebody else. And that's it.
Which is what Christianity should be.
Yeah.
And then there's also this badass moment with Produce and
Oh my God.
and a fire extinguisher.
He's a superhero.
Yes. So Where Hope Grows is probably on Amazon Prime. If it's not, it's worth a couple of bucks to rent it on YouTube or on Amazon. All right. Number 10 is an anime, and this is one I have watched during some of my darkest moments, or on Host Club. Kiss, kiss, fall in love.
Yeah. Any, like, really stressed out end of the evening, or, like, I just don't want to think. Melanie always, like, if Melanie doesn't say it, I'll think of it. We're like, what should we watch? And I was like, I'm gonna put on another episode of House Club. She's like, yes, that's it.
And you have
That's
to
the
listen to
answer.
the theme song through the whole thing.
And every time, as soon as Tamaki starts talking, it's just like...
So why don't you explain a little bit what Ouran Host Club is?
So, host clubs, I don't know how much this is really a thing, but in Japan there are host clubs where men basically show women a good time. And I'm sure other men maybe.
In a gentlemanly way,
Yeah,
not in a Magic Mike type of way.
I'm going to have a nice conversation with you and flirt a little bit over dinner. Like that. And this girl, whose name I can't remember, what's her name?
Haruhi.
Haruhi.
I never remember names in animes, so that's good for me.
She looks like a boy because she had her hair cut because she got gum in it or something. And she's a scholarship student, and she accidentally breaks a really expensive vase at the Ouran's club. And to get the money back out of her, thinking that she's a boy, they make her into a host. And by, like, the end of the first episode, they figure it out, but then the whole show is keeping up the ruse. So, that's it, and there's a whole cast of hosts. There's Tamaki, who is
He's the
prince
prince
leader of the host club, and he's the face and the charisma. There's Mom. I don't know what I can't remember his name. They make jokes that he's Mom. He's the accountant and also technically a host, although I doubt anybody pays for him.
He's a dick. I don't like
He's
him.
an asshole. They're the two gay twin bros.
Yeah, that's like a whole thing in anime of twins wanting to fuck each other.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but it's funny, I guess.
It is funny.
They're funny. And then Honey Senpai and his giant cousin,
Yeah, his giant hot cousin.
Who Honey Senpai looks like he's the Lolita, but like a boy. Even though he's one of the oldest people in the group.
He's like 17.
Yeah. And yeah, that's the whole crew. And his quiet cousin, who's a badass but never says anything.
He just carries Honey Senpai around.
And it's so silly, but like sort of sincere and endearing.
It really is, and you introduced this to me like maybe 5 years ago, and I watched the whole series, and there were some rough things I was going through at the time, and watched that, and now we're kind of slowly working our way through it again, and if it's just been, like AJ said, one of those days, I think it's a 20-minute episode, just throw it on, it'll make you laugh, it's very funny.
And it's like a clean laugh. Like, when something's just... There's a certain time... Yeah, it's almost wholesome.
Almost,
like,
except for those twins who want to fuck each other.
Yeah, but it's... I don't know.
It's all done in jest.
Yeah. I enjoy comedies that, like, I enjoy really raunchy shit, too. Like, fucking Zac Efron movies where it's awful, Dirty Grandpa. But I enjoy, like, clean comedy where it's something like this. Anyway, just, yeah, check it out.
Yeah, number 11 is a classic, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, one of the most quotable movies. I was actually, I decided to wear something else. I have a t-shirt that says I'm not dead yet, and I bought that when I saw the musical Spamalot about 10 years ago here in Fort Worth. Yeah, we watched that again recently because we've been rewatching Game of Thrones, and we kept stopping and saying, oh, wouldn't it be funny if like the Black Knight showed up and fought the Hound, or if Brienne met King Arthur and they both
postulated. We were trying to figure out like who would be the funniest to enter the world of Monty Python, and I think we ended up with Brienne as one of the main ones, and the Hound. Because they're so angry and so straightforward that it would just infuriate them.
Yes. It would drive them nuts, and it would make everybody around them seem even funnier.
If the Hound had to fight the Black Knight, like, he would lose his fucking shit.
He would cut his head off, and then the head would sit there talking shit to him.
Like, I'll bite your ankles off.
Yeah. So, Monty Python and the Holy Grail is always a classic, and it's so quotable. Number 12 is another quotable movie that my parents introduced to me, Animal House. Now, I always watch the edited one on TV, and then I watch the unedited one. But that's another one where my parents have been quoting it to me for the last 43 years. So
I need to see it a couple more times, because at some point when I was a teenager, I watched it with my dad, and he always loved it. I think I bought it for him at some point. Or maybe I don't know. Anyway. But all I can really remember is, a little bit quieter now. A little bit quieter now. Like that.
Otis Day and the Nights.
Yeah, that scene where they're in the club. That, where, don't the black guys take their girlfriends?
We are gonna die. Yes, that's when they go to the club with
that one.
The black guys.
And I'm a Zit. Those are the only, that and the horse. That's all I remember.
Yeah, and John Belushi's in it, but I don't think he's the funniest character. And I think either Otter or Boone are the funniest characters. Mm. And all the stuff with Niedermeyer is funny.
But that's a classic that just...
And the guy who played D-Day has had quite a career. I think I've seen him in more than anything else. Yeah, he's kind of a big chunky guy with a mustache. He looks like Cliff from Cheers a little bit. Ratzenberg. Yeah. He looks a little bit like him. So, anyway, moving on. Number 13 is The Other Guys with Will Ferrell. You talk about this one.
Oh my god. This is the only somewhat modern, because this has been around for a minute now, somewhat modern comedy that, I don't know why this is a thing now. They have to be long. They have to be 2 hours plus now. Like, Anchorman 2. I won't even watch it because I know it's over 2 hours long. And as much as I liked Anchorman, it's a lot. So, this one, though, I'm glad they didn't cut any of the jokes. It's funny the entire time. And I don't like Will Ferrell. Except for Anchorman, one of his dumbest movies. Because he's always just stupid. And Blade's Glory. But when he's the straight guy in this, I love it. I love him talking shit to what's his name?
Mark Wahlberg?
Mark Wahlberg being all angry and shit.
I'm a peacock. I gotta fly.
He's like, "What you think, a big boy now? Huh? Because you can stomp around and yell. You wearing your big boy pants?" He's like, "Stop it, man. God." It's just amazing. The opening scene is one of the most memorable things ever with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes.
I want them to come back and write a whole movie, a whole prequel with them as the main people, just to get more out of this storyline.
Just squeeze a little bit more out of this concept. Just squeeze some more money out of it.
It can just be the guys, because
Yeah.
which I stole that from Terrence. I think we talked about that.
Oh,
work.
okay.
So
that would be the prequel.
Terrence, I'll
guys.
give you credit.
Okay. Number 14 is Not Another Teen Movie, which I think is an honorary Mel Brooks movie.
It is.
It is. It's much funnier than, okay, their Scary Movie kind of started it all with they didn't start it all. Mel Brooks started it all with parody movies.
Well, the new wave of
Parody movies started with Scary Movie, and that franchise got less and less funny.
It turned so parody movies used to be, here's the setting and of that's making fun of other styles, and then what would be funny in that setting. Scary Movie and the movies that replicate Scary Movie type things are more like, we're just gonna poke fun at very, very specific things. Very rarely is it what would be funnier in this situation
In
than
this
the original.
context, right? Because they'll make jokes about things that were timely at the time, like The Ring and other horror movies, which these days it's not as funny anymore
I
because
think
those movies aren't current.
Not Another Teen Movie is perfectly in between. Like, it definitely comes from a lot of very particular movies, like the
Like all the
Breakfast Club. There's probably like 16 Candles stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen 16 Candles, so I don't know.
a lot of the 80s teen movies.
Can't Hardly Wait,
Oh my
which
god!
we finally watched, and it's terrible. But after seeing it, we know what some of the references are to that particular one.
She's all that.
But
yeah.
it was funny before I knew that it was referencing
Yeah,
that.
we
so
in fact today we quoted the movie. So we went to see the ballet A Midsummer Night's Dream, and for one of the characters who is in love with a guy who doesn't love her back, she had her hair in a bun and she had glasses. I've never seen that in a ballet before, but they kind of was like a little shout out to 80s movies, like, oh, the nerdy girl that no one likes is in glasses. And as we were walking home, we were like, she had a bun and glasses. There's paint all over her overalls.
What is that? What is that?
So that's a very quotable movie too, and
it's Chris Evans. Like, go back and watch it. It's Chris Evans early in his career. It's like one of his first movies, and he's actually really funny as just a comedic actor.
He is, yeah. Captain America wearing nothing but whipped cream and a banana.
And he's supposed to be playing like the Freddie Prinze, like that type of role.
Yeah.
But he's awesome, and the guy that they got to look like Freddie Prinze, he's also really funny. He was in Fired Up. I don't know his name.
Yes, that guy, the blonde guy.
Maybe you guys can just
He's kind of the James Spader character
figure it out.
of
But
the movie.
and he's like the straight guy that just says things that, you know, the audience is thinking it, so that side's covered. It's so good.
Yeah, so there are topical type of jokes and parodies of very specific movies, but it's still funny even if you haven't seen those movies. It's just a funny movie. That's why I said it feels like a Mel Brooks movie because those are timeless. They
Yeah.
poke fun at things that were happening at the time, but it's still funny.
Like, even like Spaceballs, it's super specific to Star Wars and things like Star Wars, but like when are we? We're now, but then we're watching then,
This
and
is
then
now.
that like that's not just Star Wars. That's hilarious. So
Blazing Saddles? Yeah, that's awesome.
we ain't found shit. that
Was my favorite thing. We used to put on, when my parents would have their friends over for parties, they'd banish the kids to like a bedroom to watch TV. And I remember being with my brother and another kid or two, and we were watching Spaceballs. It's the part where they're literally combing the desert looking for people. And there's guys with a regular comb. Like 2 times they do this, like, we found nothing, sir. And then they have these guys with a little pick comb. We ain't found shit. And I don't know why, as a little kid, I thought that part, and then at the end when the apes show up and they say, oh shit, there goes the planet. I guess hearing shit in a movie is funny when you're a kid. It's still funny now as an adult.
So it's that level. Like,
Yes.
I want... Mel Brooks should, like, dub this movie. Like, you were a part of my collection.
You are an honorary Mel Brooks movie. Okay, so you ready to stop laughing?
Oh.
Oh, we're getting dark now. Okay, this is one we watched at the height of the pandemic. Number 15, Akira.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
there's a very different reason to watch this compared to the other ones. The other ones, you're sort of trying to lighten your load, just get your mind off things. This is like, it could be worse.
It could be, and either way, the 2020 Olympics were canceled in Tokyo.
We happened to watch it in the exact perfect year, because it was...
We watched it around, like, July of 2020, and it took
it-
place in 2019.
Yeah, and it was like, there's sickness and rampant economic decline, and governments are doing crazy shit. But then you add in, like, some existential, like, what if we restarted the universe by accident
And
type
body
shit.
horror, and some
Oh.
Lovecraftian type of stuff.
Everyone needs to see it if they have any interest in anime, because it's a huge milestone. Or sci-fi. If you're not into anime, but you like sci-fi, I would tell my dad to watch this.
And
like,
I'm not really super into either one, but I liked it.
It's so good.
Yeah, I feel like that's one you need to watch a couple of times to really get the story and the message of it. I feel like I've only watched it once. I've only kind of caught the superficial part of it.
Every time you'll probably pick up the next layer. Mm-hmm. So.
All right, another COVID-19 movie we watched, number 16, is The Purge.
Yeah.
And we actually watched that on Purge Day on March 21st. So that was about a week after everything had shut down.
Absolutely by accident.
Yeah, and the world was going crazy. Some things were still open because you went to Game Exchange, which is this used games and movie store. Came home with a couple of things, and it was The Purge. And as we were watching, I'm like, every March 21st. I'm like, oh, that's today! Of course. So,
If only we had a purge to murder off all the excess population, I guess.
I don't know.
I don't know what the point of the movie is. I know. It's a metaphor. It ain't a metaphor for shit. It can't work. I actually think if it's a metaphor for anything, it's how we treat the poor, but whatever.
Oh, yeah, because people with money and I mean, that's how it is now. That's I mean, disadvantaged people suffered a lot more during COVID-19 than more privileged people.
Anyway, keeping it light.
Yeah.
But
as light as you can when you're talking about The Purge.
But the concept's ridiculous but fun. The villain is exactly the same. And he's such a cliche. He does
but it is scary. Because you start to think, well, what if I were in that situation? What would I do? And it's actually a really simple concept. It takes place in a house with a very small cast, just a family and a couple of intruders. And that's it. That's the story.
If you leave it down to, like, the setup is needed, but if you leave it down to what is actually happening, it is just people in a home who are being attacked from outside.
And they get targeted because they help somebody.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's The Purge.
Moral of the story, don't help anybody, kids.
Yes, help. No, we want to help people. Okay, so the last thing isn't a movie. This is just a message. Is that now that things are sort of opening back up again and it's a little safer to go out, go and support your local arts community. Plays, music, dance performances, art exhibits, any kind of artistic endeavors that are going on. A lot of our artists suffered a lot during the pandemic. They lost their ways of making money. My brother's a musician. He lost a lot of gigs and had to switch around a lot of things because of the pandemic. So that's a cause that's close to my heart, is supporting the arts. And today, the day that we're recording, we went to see A Midsummer Night's Dream by Texas Ballet Theater here in Fort Worth, and it was a wonderful performance, and I'm so glad the dancers got to get out and move and do what they love to do again.
I'm just going to add walk to your local food shops to that, because that's been fun the last couple of weeks. Just taking a walk somewhere and
support local businesses, support your local arts, support your local businesses and restaurants, and help people get back on their feet and support your communities.
Get out of the house and away from all the things telling you the world is awful.
Yeah.
Because it is.
It is.
Doesn't mean you gotta think about it.
Yeah. So Next up will be our summer chill series. So that'll be movies and TVs and movie series and things like that we love to watch on a hot summer day after we've been swimming and we're inside feeling cozy with popsicles and something cold to drink. So that's coming up soon. And you can join our cult and be my victim in a number of different ways. You can join Twitch, Discord, YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, iTunes. You can also see us on Instagram. 7 ways, 7 days. Be my victim. Bye.